You didn't vote for this war. You're not fighting in the war. You don't even live anywhere near the Middle East, yet it is costing you money. Oil just hit $120 a barrel. Stock markets wiped out over $6 trillion in value in days. Mortgage costs are climbing. Food prices are moving up. Jet fuel is up over 55%. European gas prices jumped nearly 80%. And we are only 2 weeks into the war. This is a story about how economies react in times of war and how it is silently draining your wallet. Hey, welcome to another episode of World Powers Fusion. Let's talk about what's actually happening and who is really paying the price for all the war. The conflict that has now erupted into full-scale war started with U.S. and Israeli airstrikes on Iranian military infrastructure. The strike targeted Iran's drone bases, command structures, and military facilities. Iran responded by hitting back, targeting Gulf energy infrastructure, striking Bahrain's largest oil refinery, launching drones and missiles over Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE. A NATO air defense system in Turkey shot down an Iranian ballistic missile for the second time in this conflict alone. The fighting has already spread well beyond Iran's borders, and it is nowhere near stopping. Markets have been reacting to this conflict. On Monday, March 9th, oil prices almost hit $120 a barrel, with West Texas Intermediate recording about 27% increase, the single biggest one-day price move in history. The G7 rushed into an emergency meeting and floated the idea of releasing strategic petroleum reserves. Prices pulled back to around $100. But here's what that pullback actually means. Oil is still at $100 a barrel. The global economy is in active shock, and the only reason markets calm down at all is because governments promise to drain their emergency stockpiles to cover the gap. That is not stability. That is a patch on a cracking dam. And the reason markets are truly frightened goes beyond the numbers on a screen. The Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway at the mouth of the Persian Gulf, is one of the most important energy choke points on the planet. Roughly 20% of the world's liquefied natural gas flows through that region from Qatar alone. A huge share of global fertilizer exports moves through there. When Iran targets oil refineries along that corridor, it is not just making a military statement. It is threatening the supply chain that the entire world economy runs on. Commodity analysts estimate if the conflict continues at its current intensity for just 2 to 3 more weeks. $140 oil is not a stretch, and it doesn't stop at oil. Palm oil is already up 10%. Urea, a critical ingredient in fertilizer, is up by about a third. When fertilizer prices rise, food prices follow. That's simple supply chain math. And regular people at supermarket checkouts are the last stop on that chain. We're talking about inflation here, and it will most likely go up pretty soon. Now, let's look at how key economies and allies are reacting to the current energy situation. Right now in Britain, borrowing costs are rising fast. The spring budget forecast, published just days before the war escalation, is already obsolete. The government is scrambling to investigate fuel price profiteering. The AA and the RAC are warning that the outlook for consumers is, in their words, bleak. In the United States, the politics are more complicated and more volatile. President Trump has publicly framed rising oil prices as a short-term sacrifice worth making for long-term regional stability. The Pentagon won't put an official number on the daily cost of operations, but sources have made it clear about the fact that it is likely running at approximately $1 billion a day. That number sits awkwardly against everything Trump ran on. Less foreign intervention, less spending, America first. His own vice president once argued publicly that military commitments like this were too costly to the American taxpayer. Right now, 86% of Republicans still support the war. But that number is built on 2 assumptions: that this stays short, and that gas prices don't become a permanent fixture of daily life. Americans see fuel prices every single day. They are not abstract. They are on a sign at every corner station, and they move voting behavior in ways that polling only partially captures. Republican lawmakers heading into midterm season know this. Some prominent conservative voices like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly are already pushing back loudly. That kind of internal dissent is a signal worth watching. Inside Iran, the picture is not moving toward escalation. After 10 days of strikes, Tehran announced a new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the Ayatollah killed in the opening strikes of the war. He is a hardliner, and he has the full backing of the Revolutionary Guard. Israel has already stated its intention to kill him. His appointment is not the move of a regime preparing to negotiate. It is the move of a regime digging in. On Tehran streets, the population is split. Regime supporters celebrated, but others passed messages in the dark. One Iranian said quietly that the regime has lost legitimacy built over years of economic, social, and psychological failure, and that the real question is whether the system itself will change, not just who sits at the top of it. That internal fracture matters. And in the meantime, a hardline new leader means the war footing holds. Lebanon is caught in the crossfire in every sense. Israel is striking Beirut's southern suburbs, targeting what it calls Hezbollah's financial network. 2 Lebanese paramedics were killed in separate strikes. The Lebanese government has publicly said it wants Iranian-linked operatives gone and sees no benefit in Hezbollah's military infrastructure. But as one minister admitted, dismantling Hezbollah is not a button you can press. The group functions as a parallel state, and a large portion of the Lebanese population still views it as their only protection against Israeli strikes that they say have violated a ceasefire for 15 straight months. There is no clean side in Lebanon. There rarely is. And watching all of this from a comfortable distance is Russia. Moscow's energy exports were rerouted after Europe cut ties over Ukraine, flowing now to countries like India. A global oil price spike is direct revenue for the Kremlin. Putin was among the first to congratulate Iran's new supreme leader, offering what he called unwavering solidarity, while reminding the world that Russia is a reliable energy supplier. He knows the math. Higher oil prices fund his war in Ukraine. And Europe, already strained, absorbs the pressure on both fronts simultaneously. China is in the opposite position. It is one of the world's largest oil importers, and rising energy costs hurt its economy. Its close relationship with Iran creates political complications rather than strategic advantages here. The central question, the one that markets, governments, and analysts are all circling, is how long this lasts. If it's weeks, the damage is manageable. Emergency reserves get released. Diplomatic channels reopen. Prices settle. If it stretches to months, the tools run out. Inflation embeds itself into the economy. Interest rates rise to chase it. Growth slows. Governments face brutal choices between spending commitments and fiscal reality. And the political fallout becomes impossible to contain. Markets are currently betting on a short war. But the appointment of a hardline supreme leader, the continued strikes across multiple countries, and the absence of any credible diplomatic off-ramp suggests that bet may not age well. Here is the thing nobody in any government press conference will say directly. The people absorbing the cost of this war are not the people who decided to fight it. They are not sitting in situation rooms or walking the floors of defense ministries. The people paying the cost are the common people filling up their cars, opening their energy bills, buying groceries, and watching their mortgage statements. Wars are always paid for by the common people. And in this case, it appears the invoice has only just arrived. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates on the Iran conflict situation.